Possible targets approaching. 232 HQ.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Mr. Fox, back in the house. And today I'm doing a review of episode 1 and 2 of Grand Blue Dreaming. All I gotta say is this show is hilarious. Now, if you're wondering, I am up to date. It just took me a while to get these reviews out. But with that being said, jumping straight into the show, like it plasters like two warnings. One at the beginning before anything even starts, and then probably like another one later in the middle of the show. But the show was hilarious. This is the first show that I've watched where I watched the intro and the outro. I love them both. They're like the outro is the funniest I've seen, funniest outro I've probably ever seen, to be perfectly honest, in my opinion. But I mean, first episode kicks off with we meet our main character, Iori. He's moving in with his uncle and his cousins, who he hasn't seen for like 10 years. And apparently, prior to this, he's been going to an all boys high school. I remember my mother tried to send me to a place like that, like not even a few years back. It was a while ago, but she told me she thought about it. I said, I'm glad you didn't because I never would have forgave you, like, at all. But Iori gets dropped off by his uncle to in front of the shop, and he starts to walk, and he notices a girl that's coming up from the bottom dock. She's taking off uh, all her diving gear, and he looks at her. She looks back, and then they have like not a moment, but just like make eye contact, and then he gets called into the shop by his uncle. But the second Iori walks in, he is greeted. Well, I don't want to say greeted. He opens the door and he sees nothing but a bunch of buff, naked dudes drinking. And I don't know about you, but if I saw it, I'd probably do the same thing he did. I would have shut the door. And like, that can't be right. I must be dreaming or I must be high. But he opens the door again, and nope, it's the same thing, same sight. He sees a whole bunch of buff dudes drinking, naked, like it's no big deal. And most normal people would flip out. I'm cracking up because I'm like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? So Iori walks in and he sees his uncle behind the bar, cleaning a glass, and he's like, what are they doing? He's like, oh, them. He's like, don't worry about them. That's normal for them. He's like, no, that's not normal. Normal people don't drink and get naked like this. And he's like, and Yori's pretty much like, I'm not having this. He's like, I guess this whole experience at an all dudes high school is just, he's like, nope, not going down like this. So he walks away. And that's where we get introduced to our other two male protagonists. We get introduced to Kokita and oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. And I don't know why I want to say Toji. It's not Toji, but it starts with a T. I know that. So and they pretty much ask Iori's uncle's like, who is that? And he's like, oh, that's my nephew. He's going to the same university as you two. He's trying to get a whole new he's starting over, fresh start. He wants to have a normal college experience. And they get like the most it's not smug, but they get like the craziest grins on their face, and they're like, new member. So they bolt down the street after him. Mind you, one of them only has on boxer shorts, and the other one is naked, just out, just his business is out free. and they're hightailing it after Iori. And I don't know about you, but if I saw two buff dudes hoofing down the street after me, I'm running for my life. And probably calling the police at the same time if I have my cell phone on me, which most of the time I do. So, but unfortunately for Iori, they catch him and they bring him back, and they're like, "You're joining our club," and he's like, "No, I'm not." And they're like, "Yeah, you are. Drink." And somehow they managed to convince him to drink, pretty much. And they tell him later on that first off, the name of the club is called Peekaboo, but it's a diving club. You see where I'm going? You don't, you see the disconnect. It's like, wait, what is it? Okay, whatever. They let it go. Meanwhile, while they some while they're trying to convince him amongst all that, we meet our one of our first female. I don't. She's not a protag, but she's one of the first female characters. It's his cousin, his older cousin. Her name is not not Nana for short. It's her name's longer than that, but I can't think of it either. But that is Chisa's. That is his other cousin's name. His other cousin's name is Chisa. That's the one he saw at the board dock, taking all the diving gear and stuff off. But he didn't recognize him. He didn't even recognize Nana because, like I said, he hasn't seen them for like 10 years. You know, she's like, "Oh, did you see Chisa at the dock?" And he's like, "I don't." He's like, "I don't know who that is." And he's like, "Oh," she's like, "You'll recognize her when you see her." And then Chisa, like, a few minutes go by and he's managed to start, well, not managed, they managed to convince him to start drinking with all the others, and he ends up in the same situation. They are pretty much, he's in his boxer shorts, you know, howling like a dog and I don't know what. And Chisa is walking, to the door, and she's thinking about, she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen him so long. I wonder, how he's changed, or if he's even changed at all." And she walks into him pretty much naked, drinking, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you turned into such a pervert." And it crushes him because his whole thing is he doesn't want to be a weirdo. He wants to just have a normal college life and all that. And the first thing you're not your long lost cousin, but your cousin you haven't seen for a while, is like, "Oh, you turned into a pervert," and it crushes him. He's like, Wait, I'm not a pervert," and she's pretty much not having it. She's like, "Nah, get out of my face," and he grabs her on the shoulder. And he's like, let me explain," and she's like, "Don't touch me," and she hands her shirt over to her sister, and she's like, "Please burn this." And he's like, "Wait a minute, I'm not that dirty." And then this is also where we find out that Nana is not normal either. She has a little sister complex. We find this out because when Chisa walks away, Nana sniffs her shirt like profusely, like a bloodhound trying to find evidence so it can track you down, like. And I'm just like, oh, I'm like, yes, even more wildness, and it's hilarious, dude. And as this goes on, he just decides, he's like, "Screw it, I'm gonna drink more. I'm pretty much gonna drink my problems away." And some of the other guys leave. They're like, one dude's like, "I got work." He's like, "I got," other dude's like, "I got class," and just a whole bunch of other stuff. And the main two, I think, oh my goodness, calling him Coda for short. And he's like, "Iori, why don't you come drink with us now?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I have to be at orientation at 9 o'clock in the morning." And they're like, "Oh, don't be a wuss. We'll make sure we get you there, on time." And for some odd crazy reason, he's like, not like, "Oh, okay," like immediately, but they convince him, like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can go drinking with y'all." And next thing you know, he wakes up. It's 8:45 in the morning. Orientation starts in like 15 minutes. And he's like, "Oh my goodness, why did I go with them? Where am I?" And then he looks up and he hears like whispering, because that's because he's at the university on the main walkway, and people are walking by, pretty much talking like, "Why is there a naked dude on the walkway? We should probably avoid him." So apparently all their drunken escapades led them up to the university, where they've all passed out drunk. And mind you, Iori and the rest of them are in their Aaron boxers. But amazingly, when he turns around, those two have on clothes. And they're like, "Good luck." And he's like, wait, give me some clothes. And they're like, "We don't have any." So he's forced to go to his first college orientation, pretty much in the buff. And everyone's doing like what you expect. It's like, "That dude's a weirdo. We should avoid him." And it's funny because like he sees like his whole college life flash before his eyes, and he's like, "Well, there goes my chance of having a normal college life." And it's just hilarious. And that's when we don't get in. Yes, we get introduced, but we don't get another interaction with him till later in the episode. We meet our other male protagonist. His name is Kohei. And long story short, right now, he's an otaku. We'll get into that a little bit later. So Iori's main priority right now is, "I need to find clothes." So he's walking around and he comes across Chisa and he's like, "Hey, cousin, I need some clothes." And she's like, "Please refrain from mentioning that we are even remotely related, period." And he's like, "Why?" She's like, "Cause I don't want to be associated with you because you're a pervert." And he's pretty much like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Well, give me your clothes or I'll go around tell everyone that you're my cousin." And she just starts breaking down crying like, "I guess I'll give you my clothes." And that's when campus police shows up and pretty much like, "Come with me, son." And he's like, "Hold up, wait a minute." He's like, "No, this is my cousin." And she's like, "No, I don't know him at all." So he hightails it out of there because they're going to take him to jail, which would happen to anybody if you show up to a school campus in your boxers. But mind you, I'm cracking up like the whole entire time. I'm dying. It's been a while since I just had a good comedy, in my life. It just makes me laugh from, and not a chuckle. I mean, like, I'm crying. This is hilarious to me. So he ends up behind some bushes while campus security is looking for him, and that's when we get reintroduced to our other protagonist, Kohei. And I guess Kohei's like, "I guess I'll help you out, tell me what happened." And he tells him, and Kohei pretty much tries to snitch, like, "Nope, he's right here. I don't want to be associated with a pervert." And he's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Dude, you're a pervert. I don't want nothing to do with you." And I mean, and that pretty much ends up the same way he did with Chisa. He ends up having to hightail it out of there from security. But then he ends up running into Koda and the other guy, and they're like, and he's like, "Oh, and Nana, they're recruiting other people for for their club that they're in. Like I said, they're in the diving club, which by their actions you would never be able to tell at all. You would think they're a bunch of football players who just like to drink all day. But hey, what can you say?" And he sees him. He's like, "Hey man, I need some clothes." And Koda's pretty much like, "Look, if you get us some new members, we'll give you some clothes." And that's when we go back to Kohei. Now, Kohei's whole deal is he came to college because he wants to live out his dream. And his dream is to pretty much have a harem of high school girls follow him around and attend to his every desire. But, like, once again, like the name with the club and what they do, you're like, there's a disconnect. It's like, wait, everyone's like, you can't have, they're like, there's no high school girls here. It doesn't make sense. And he's just pretty much crushed. And Iori gets the idea, is like, okay, I got something for him. So he pretty much lies to him. He's like, "Hey, look, if you come with me to my club, we'll be able to make you live out your fantasies." And when he brings them over there, Koda and I want to say Taka, but I digress. They yank him up and they force Kohei to start drinking. While they're making him drink, they gave Iori a shirt and he tries to sneak away, but then he encounters Chisa again. And she's drinking, not profusely. She just has like a beer in her hand. She's just, taking a sip. And he pretty much tells her like, "I'm sneaking away." And she's like, "Do you think you can?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" Yep, the two gorillas pretty much yank him up and force him to start drinking too. And long story short, not Koda, Iori and Kohei end up joining the club after pretty much a whole day's worth of drinking, and they end up in class again in their boxer shorts, blaming each other for what happened. But then we kick off episode 2. Now, since Iori has even gotten there, he hasn't been home in 3 days. He hasn't even seen the room that he's supposed to be staying in. And Nana's like, "Dude, you can't." She's like, "I want you to enjoy yourself, but you need to at least see where you're staying and unpack all your stuff." And it's funny because once again, two gorillas show up and they're like, "Hey man, like there's a party going on tonight." And he's like, "Nope, I can't go. I have to stay and unpack." And they're like, "Oh, well, that sucks. We were going out with a girls' university tonight." And he obviously changes his mind. He's like, "Wait, I will come." And they're like, "Why the change of heart?" And he's like, "I'm not gonna lie, it's my sex drive." And they're like, "Huh, you have no shame." No, not at all. So, but Nana is straight. She's not going, and the two gorillas are pretty much like, "Oh yeah, you might as well let that go." She when she gets serious, it's a wrap. So he gets in. he gets this idea. Iori gets this idea in his head that maybe if I, straighten up my room, unpack all my stuff, and make it look like I'm a normal human being, she'll let me go. And they're like, it could work. So they're like, we'll help you. He should have said no, but unwittingly, he pretty much agrees, and he goes. I don't know, like he goes talk to Nana or something or whatever while they unpack all his stuff and do his room up. When they walk in, there is nothing but porno magazines and posters everywhere. Porno magazines on the floor, on his bed, on his dresser. Porno magazine posters on the ceilings, on the walls, in all four corners. It's hilarious. And Nana's like, I think I'm going to leave. And he's pretty much like, wait a minute. And she shuts the door, and he's like, what have you done to my room? And they're like, what? This is normal. And he's like, no, it's not. But it's funny because later on they're like, it pretty much goes, he's like, you want to watch porno? Yeah, I can watch a porno. So he watches a porno, and then Chisa walks in, and she's like, oh, and she just shuts the door. And he's like, what am I doing? So they get the idea to get Kohei on the phone, and they're like, dude, we need help, come over. And he's like, no, but they pretty much lie to him again, and he shows up. And he tries to help out, but they end up making it worse. Well, actually, like I said, now it's worse, I guess, because Kohei's an otaku, and they pretty much turn his room into an otaku's room. Anime memorabilia everywhere, figurines, posters, body pillows, all that. So, and Nana walks in, and she's like, nah. So, for some odd reason, they get the idea that maybe they need to switch the genders, and then they flip it around, and now it's a whole bunch of body pillows and posters of like dudes in like speedos, not made of butler outfits and all that. And then when Nana walks in again, she's like, oh my goodness. She's like, I'm gonna go talk to a friend, because she's like, if you're into that, that's cool, no judgment. She's like, I just need to get my friend on the phone and see how this is going, see how if this is normal or not. and Iori's just like, why do I let y'all help me? What is going on? And then somehow it goes back into a porno. Oh my goodness, I love this show so much because the amount of stuff is most of it is relatable with a few key things. Some things you're just like, okay, no, that's a little bit over the top, but you just enjoy it. But like I told you, Nana has an obsession with Chisa, so they get the idea of switching the room back to the normal otaku theme, but they take pictures of Chisa and slap her picture over it. So there was like a poster with like a maid on it. They slapped Chisa's face over the anime character's face, and Chisa walks in again, and she's like, I got something for you. And she pretty much turned his room into a jail cell. Like, there's no bars or anything, but dude, it looks like it looks like an old rundown motel in there pretty much. And he's just like, I just wanted my room to be normal. He's like, why do I even listen to y'all? And the best part to me for that is when he finds out that the whole reason he was doing this was so he could go to a party with a women's university and drink with them and, hook up with a girl. They end up telling him, like, oh, by the way, the party's been postponed. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, it's not happening? No, not happening. So it's not today? No, not today. And he just flips out. He's like, what have I been doing all day? I mean, and that's pretty much how episode 2 ends. And like I said, I love the intro and the outro of the show, but the outro is literally Kohei, Iori, Koda, and the other dude's name that starts with a T. They all end up at a karaoke bar, and Iori and Kohei start singing this anime song you know, and they know all the words and all that. And mind you, the whole time, like the other two dudes are like cheering them on. It gives me hype like every time I see it. And then at the end, it shows all of them butt naked, and they're like, "Thank you." You know, and you just got Iori and Kohei, you know, posing like this, and you got the other two with like their legs in front of their crotches, like, "Thank you." And I died. I cried. I was like, this is the show for me. But there's some things I missed. I'm not gonna be able to cover, you know, every single last thing that happened. But for the most part, if you haven't seen this show, you definitely should. I love it to death. I'm trying to get these reviews out so I can review it on a weekly basis so these videos won't be so long. But I mean, hey, it's definitely one of my favorite shows of this season, if not the year, just for like pure comedy reasons and all that. And like I said, they do have serious moments, and they fit. Like when they're in there, they fit. But I'll go more in detail on that on the next review. But in the meantime, if you stay stuck around for this, I appreciate it so much. Please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. It all helps me out. Also, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on my Twitch. Be sure to hit that bell too so to get the notification when I drop another video. But in the meantime, it's your boy, Mr. Fox, signing out.